has it also come at a time when not just India and not just the United States, but world over, there is a move towards becoming more and more self-reliant? And India can very clearly say that we had this in mind. We were on this path much before everyone else. Not protectionism, but self-reliance. How do you see the way India sits right now with both these imperatives?
So I think we began to talk about self-reliance, but I want to distinguish here between the kind of sort of import substitution kind of mindset of the 1950s and 60s with what we mean by self-reliance now. Self-reliance now is much more focused on what is geostrategically important to us, or economically it's sort of a backbone. We don't try to protect everything. We also have an outward orientation towards exports, which we didn't have in the 50s and 60s. That was much more of a fearful response to a history of having been colonized, whereas we have a much more outward expansionist approach to the world. So it is fundamentally different in the approach we take towards when we say self-reliance. For example, we will be willing, if we find that it's not economical for us to do a certain activity, to sort of sign deals with countries or make arrangements that would allow us to function even if other countries are doing it for us. So for example, hydrocarbons. India is not a hydrocarbon-rich country, even though we keep exploring and trying to find more. But in the end, we have to rely on other countries. Under those circumstances, I hope you have got a sense of the fact that we will make the sort of we will build those international relationships necessary to allow us to buy cheap energy for our 1.4 billion people. And if it requires us to do some tricky navigation, we will do so.
Are we set for some tricky navigation when it comes to import of Russian crude?
It is always the case that we are looking for cheap resources for the Indian economy. And we have, I think, more or less made it clear that we will continue to have this view of the world into the future. That does not mean that we will not take into account the views of our allies, but our allies also have to understand that we have our own imperatives. And I think some adjustments will be arrived at.